about look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at. He has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
The downfall of Sean Diddy Combs feels like a movie too wild for even Hollywood to greenlight. Once celebrated for his glamour, his bravado, and his billion-dollar empire, everything is now crumbling. Federal indictments stack up like scenes in a crime thriller, and whispers grow louder that Diddy wasn't only a flashy mogul. He may have been the mastermind behind one of music's darkest mysteries. Prosecutors accuse him of racketeering, secret tapes, and exploitation rings that could lock him away for life. His name reportedly appears nearly 50 times in sealed police records tied to the Las Vegas ambush that silenced Shakur's reign. And while he declares his innocence inside a New York courtroom, his old allies are no longer staying quiet.
That they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their brand.
Enter Gene Deal, the former bodyguard who witnessed everything from the armored convoys to the penthouse suites. He's now dropped a revelation so explosive, it makes the charges against Diddy seem like just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Deal claims Tupac Shakur wasn't the reckless figure the media painted him to be. He knew the setup was coming. He knew the bounty on his head had skyrocketed. And instead of waiting for death, he staged his own escape. According to Deal, Tupac turned his outlaw persona into a survival plan, outsmarting his executioners, vanishing from America, and starting life under a new name. The twist? Even Diddy, who believed he erased his greatest rival, was fooled. Gene Deal insists Diddy's crown may have always been an illusion, with his nemesis alive, watching from the shadows.
Big went through their thing, and I was big man. That was the extent of our beef.
The signs were always there. Fans obsessed over Tupac's Don Killuminati, the 7-Day Theory, with its chilling subtitle and the cryptic phrase, "Exit Shakur, enter Machiavelli." They noted that Machiavelli, when rearranged, spells Am Alive K. For years, critics brushed it off as morbid art, just a young man obsessed with death. But what if it was more? What if it was a code? Tupac had studied Niccolo Machiavelli's writings on deception and survival. Maybe the album wasn't a requiem. It was a blueprint for escape. Then came the strange details. The coroner's report listed him at 6 feet, 215 pounds, while friends swore he was 5'10", 168. The autopsy photo, blurry and suspicious, never felt real. And the cremator? He retired immediately and disappeared forever. Did he help stage a swap? Was the body even Tupac Shakur's at all?
I'm sorry, I'm just really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck. During those years, you're still stuck 21 years later.
The stories only grow once you dig past the reports. Former bodyguard Michael Nice told TMZ he helped smuggle Tupac Shakur out after the Vegas hit. He claimed Fidel Castro himself signed off, even arranging a body double to fool the world. Nice swore Tupac never died that night. Instead, he boarded a jet with Black Panthers, touched down in Barbados, then Cuba, where he shook hands and even took the co-pilot seat. But before Nice could share proof, he disappeared. Coincidence or cover-up? Then came the whispers. A man in Havana, bandana low and shades on. Others said New Jersey, even Belize. Online, grainy photos place him beside Beyonce or 50 Cent. Fake? Or too real to dismiss? From prison, Tupac once asked, "Why you think nobody been arrested?" Because Tupac not gone. Even his mother hinted he chose silence. And the albums? Each release sounding alive. Too alive.
And then what's the stuff that's happening with Wendy Williams? You think this is all connection too?
Of course.
It circles back to Gene Deal's warning. Tupac Shakur wasn't caught off guard. He saw betrayal coming. He knew what it meant to defy an industry where moguls ruled like kings and enforcers. With millions on his head, he flipped the script. Machiavelli wasn't a persona, it was a playbook for survival. Some say he built a secret life in the shadows, waiting for his cue. Whispers tell of a body double in the hospital bed. A strange coroner's report. A cremation rushed too fast. The chaos outside wasn't panic. It was theater. While Suge Knight stumbled out, bandaged and dazed, Tupac was already on a runway, vanishing into the Caribbean night. And now, as Diddy faces federal charges, coercion, trafficking, racketeering, the irony cuts deep. He thought he buried his rival, but if Tupac lives, then Diddy's empire rests on a lie, one moment away from collapse.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual about whom I wish to hear nothing after this trial is done.
The contradictions, the confessions, the sightings, all of it collides into one chilling thought. What if that night in Vegas wasn't the end, but the beginning? What if the bullets were only a distraction for a vanishing act executed with precision? What if Tupac Shakur has been alive all along, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the perfect moment to return? If that's true, then Diddy's nightmare is only beginning. There's one thread that refuses to fade: the Black Panthers. Tupac wasn't just a rapper caught in music feuds. He was born into resistance. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a Panther. His godfather, a militant organizer, lived in constant war with federal agencies. With roots like that, it's not hard to believe a safety net was ready when LA turned deadly. Insiders whisper that Vegas wasn't chaos. It was a cover, an extraction, staged by people who mastered life in the shadows. And if any network could pull it off, it was them.
So, Terrence Howard appeared on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet-David, and the episode, this premiered on April 4th. Definitely making the rounds because in this episode, Terrence Howard describes an interaction with Diddy where he says that he believes that Diddy was trying to have sex with him. Let's take a listen.
The theory sharpens when you remember his aunt, Assata Shakur, still one of America's most wanted, who broke free from prison and resurfaced in Cuba. If she could vanish from federal custody and find shelter on an island that defied Washington, why couldn't her nephew follow the same path? Whispers say the same underground channels that smuggled Assata later reopened for Tupac. To the Panthers, this wasn't about saving a celebrity. It was about protecting a legacy. He wasn't just a rapper, he was their heir, their symbol. Michael Nice claimed he saw it firsthand. Tupac boarding a private jet with Panthers, adrenaline surging. It was me, my brother, the pilot, Tupac as co-pilot, and 2 Panthers, he recalled. They lifted off like escapees tasting freedom. The mission wasn't rogue, it was sanctioned by Fidel Castro himself, on one condition: silence forever.
Same thing for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the interesting thing about the Epstein and the theory about Epstein is we know he filmed people for sure on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures, and entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Of course not. Of course not.
The story takes its darkest turn here. Just as Michael Nice promised proof that Tupac survived, news broke that he was dead. To believers, the timing was no coincidence. Was it sickness, accident, or a silencing meant to bury the truth forever? Even those close to him admitted the end came too neatly, right as his revelations threatened to break open. And when someone that close to the fire disappears, suspicion doesn't fade, it multiplies. Before his exit, Nice left fragments that fuel the legend. A body switch inside the hospital. Payouts to keep the illusion airtight. A double in the bed while the real Tupac vanished into the night. He swore their jet first touched down in Barbados, then Cuba, where the handoff was complete. If that's true, then Vegas wasn't murder. It was theater. The Panthers supplied the muscle. Castro offered refuge. And Tupac himself orchestrated the greatest escape in music history.
I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to find out what's really been going on in the background.
Exile is never as romantic as the whispers make it sound. For Tupac Shakur, a man fueled by crowds, by energy, by constant reinvention, decades of silence wouldn't be strategy. It would be punishment. No applause, no stage, no adrenaline. Just the slow erosion of identity. To survive in exile, you must disappear. And disappearing can suffocate. If he has lived in hiding, the transformation would be profound. Psychologists say long-term isolation reshapes a person. The one who enters it rarely comes out the same. Tupac, the fiery poet of the 90s, may have hardened into someone else, molded by solitude, secrecy, and paranoia. His rebellion might not roar the way it once did. Instead, it could burn quieter, colder. Not a blaze, but an ember that refuses to die.
Different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive.
Competitiveness.
All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really.
That raises a chilling question. If Tupac Shakur stepped out of hiding today, would we even recognize him? Not just in the lines carved by time, but in the essence of who he has become. Could decades of silence preserve the ideals that once shook the world, or twist them into something unrecognizable? The shock may not be that he lived, but that survival remade him into someone the stage could never contain. And that makes the stakes of his return even more dangerous. Because what Diddy might face isn't the Shakur of the past. It's a version sharpened by exile. But why stay hidden so long? If protection was the goal, why not return when the storm passed? That's where the story loops back to Diddy. Some claim he gave Shakur a brutal ultimatum: vanish or die. The whispered millions for his head weren't just rumors, they were warnings. Forced to choose, Tupac chose exile. In cruel irony, Diddy's ambition may have sparked one of history's greatest disappearances.
This gangster that behind the scenes is that him? Or is that
Shout out to Wendy Williams.
Imagine the irony. The mogul who thought he erased his greatest rival may have instead forged the very conditions for that rival's survival. For years, Diddy flaunted untouchable wealth, crowning himself a king, while federal investigators stalked his every move, and accusers lined up with stories of coercion and fear. And all the while, somewhere beyond the spotlight, the man he feared most may have been watching, waiting, collecting evidence. Preparing for the day the world was finally ready to see him again. The whispers now are louder than ever. Some say Tupac holds a hidden arsenal, unreleased footage, secret testimonies, even written confessions that could shatter what's left of Diddy's defenses. Others believe he has been playing the long game, biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment when his reappearance would hit with the force of an earthquake. So here's the question that keeps millions awake at night. What happens if Tupac Shakur steps out of the shadows tomorrow? Would the image of him alive, unbroken, standing before a microphone be the final blow that brings Diddy's empire crashing down? Could he expose a hidden history that rewrites everything we thought we knew about the East Coast-West Coast War? Or would his return unleash chaos, revealing just how far the powerful went to bury the truth? If that day comes, it won't just be music history rewritten. It will be cultural history detonated in real time. And maybe that's the nightmare haunting Diddy now, sitting in a cell while headlines close in. So tell us, if Tupac reappears, does Diddy's empire collapse instantly? Or does the world rally behind a legend who fooled them all? Drop your theories in the comments. And remember, stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll see you